Welcome back. The Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, in collaboration with the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia, CRAN, Telecom Namibia and the Mobile Telecommunications Company, MTC, held a joint media conference last week Friday to provide an update on the subscriber identity module or SIM card registration exercise. It was stressed that there will be no extension to the registration period. There are only 2 weeks left, and once the deadline hits, service providers will suspend the numbers of all unregistered subscribers. To share more on this is the Executive Director in the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Dr. Audrey Mate. Doctor, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Doctor, we've seen you visit different sites where SIM card registration is taking place. Now, from your observation, what measures have been taken to ensure a smooth and efficient process for subscribers during the SIM card registration?
Thank you very much for the question. If you may just provide a bit of clarity with respect to the last interview, where first of all, Mr. Hay did a good job really to analyze what the growth represents for Namibia. He just mentioned something about policy uncertainty with regards to the export of raw materials. And I just mentioned that indeed Cabinet did make a position on this. The President talked about it. I can't remember the exact month where the decision was made with regards to the importation of raw materials out of the country. So there is policy certainty with respect to that. And I think that is a accommodation that you can easily have with the Minister of Mines and Energy, because they are the ones that are tasked with running that particular project. So just to give him comfort that indeed there is a policy certainty with regards to that.
Thank you,
Just your question now, yeah. We did visit some of the places in Windhoek. Just to give an indication, when we were in Katutura, the queues were reasonably long. By 5:30, the queues were again eliminated. By 6 o'clock, there was almost nobody there. So you wonder that, do you come only for 10 minutes when you see that the queue is long, then you move away? When we came to the teleshop at the city center by Telecom Namibia, there were about 5-6 people there at one given moment. That shows that maybe there are areas where the queues are very long, but there are others that are neglected. So if people can move to sites where they can queue up and then see that they can have their cards registered. Mm-hmm. I picked something also in your piece. I think it was maybe in the south, in Ketmanswo. The process has not been running on for 12 months. Actually, it has been running for 18 months. 6 months of which, 12 months of which were on a voluntary basis. The mandatory period only starts from January 2023 to 31st December 2023. 1 year before that, the process was still running. From our vantage, there's still ample time for people ready to get out and have them registered. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How has the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology communicated the registration deadline to the public, and what channels have been used to raise this awareness?
The process of registration actually resides with the operators, that will be your telecommunication companies. They have run campaigns. We can debate whether or not that is sufficient, but indeed there were campaigns going on, including from the regulator CRAN, who also have done those campaigns in the end. What we have not seen is perhaps the involvement of banks. They only started running the campaigns only on Friday, despite their knowledge of the fact that this process has been ongoing for 18 months now, and there's still 2 weeks more to go. So if this campaign has been accelerated from all stakeholders, I think the numbers will be good, but we still expect that the numbers will be better come next week Friday.
Dr. Mata, can you share any insight into the reasons behind the decision to not extend the registration deadline, and what considerations were taken into account?
The first reason is that there's a deadline that was already preset of 31st December 2023. I always use the soccer analogy to say that you don't announce extra time at the 67th minute. You wait until 90 minutes have been played. Then you can determine whether there's been some injuries that need to be added on the regulation time. That's how deadlines are extended. So as it stands now, we were waiting until next week, Thursday, when we get the final numbers coming in before the deadline, because this number are tabulated every Thursday. Then on Friday, we've already indicated that the minister will make a statement as to whether or not the deadline will be extended. So that is within the hands of the minister to make.
Speak to us on the penalties or consequences that unregistered subscribers will face after the deadline, and how will service providers handle the suspension of unregistered numbers?
Well, first of all, the penalties are that the number will be suspended. That's the short answer. And we have also engaged the operators. They have the capability to be able to terminate or suspend the number on the due date, whenever it is, whether it's 1st of January, or if the minister decides to extend the date, the deadline to another date, whatever that deadline, the final deadline is going to be, the operators do have the capability to be able to suspend the cards at a date that will be finally appointed. The idea is not to be punitive. That is why we really call upon people to get out in numbers. They're still full 2 weeks, so they can still have their cards registered. MTC, they've already indicated measures that we put in place, including the ability to be able to register a card online. They've also employed additional staff members to be able to absorb the demand of registering the SIM cards. Telecom have done the same. As we speak now, their operations have been extended to 7 o'clock. I was at Grove Mall this morning. There were less than 7 people in the queue. So that tells me that at least in Windhoek that we are aware of, where are the long queues? So and I think that's where, if you know the place elsewhere that could absorb the people, let us go to those places instead of crowding areas when we think there is no other alternative.
Could you highlight for us the broader goals or objectives that the ministry and its collaborators aim to achieve through this SIM card registration exercise?
The main reason for this is really to curb online crime, cybercrime. This has become a problem worldwide. In Namibia, for example, last year, we had 2.7 million attacks, cybercrime attacks. That's almost like a crime for every resident of Namibia. So that's too huge a number to contain, given the size of our population. But the resources at hand. We've also seen the abuse of these numbers, where people buy a number on the street, they commit theft, they commit crime using those numbers. And in consultation with the other ministries, OMAs, and officers, we figured the best way of also aligning ourselves to international standards. And by the way, there are 157 other countries that have mandatory SIM card registration. So that at least this is the global effort to try to contain cybercrime.
What provisions are being made, Doctor, to accommodate those in rural and isolated areas?
One is, I mentioned the fact that the operators, they've told us that they've employed additional resources. You might have seen yourself, Telecom, they've put up posters to say they're looking for people for a 4-week period to be able to absorb this. This includes mobile outreaches, so that they can go to areas where people ordinarily will not be able to access these services. The challenge, some of the challenges that they have been confronted with is some of the local structures who have not been able to assist them to provide at least a venue so that they can have those as a center for registration. But we are talking to regional structures, local authority structures, to ensure that they become very supportive of this. Because we've already started receiving letters from regional councillors throughout the country, but also from other organized formations to see how best we can handle this. And we're saying that people should take the easy way, which is really to register online when they can, but also to ensure that they go to areas where they can register physically, because the process itself, once you're in front of an official, the process takes less than 5 minutes. The longer portion of it is more or less the fact that you'll be in the queue waiting to be served.
Dr. Audrey Matza, always lovely having you with us. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Well, that was Dr. Audryn Matters speaking to us there via Zoom, explaining on the matter why the extension for SIM card registration will not happen, or rather that we'll know that end of the fact towards the end of the week when the number of individuals who have registered is tallied.